Have your tinfoil hat all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Hey everyone, this is a good show today because I'm Dave.
And I am the Mackie.
He's the Mackie, that's good. And we are Shiny Side Out on WZZR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That is home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations that you'll find in the chat room. We're in there right now. You can chat to us while we're on air. And that's actually really cool if you could do that. It's also a great place to get your merch. So you can buy your merch there. And it's all the artworks designed by Mad Painter, who's one of the hosts on Revolution Radio. This is show number, drumroll, 600.
600. That's it. 600 straight up. Straight up, baby. Nice. Straight up.
00 and 600. There you go. And catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device. So grab an app, listen. Or you can just listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. That's what I say you should do. If you missed Solaris' show, you did miss out. Once again, you always miss out if you don't catch her show. But that's okay. Today, and I'll tell you why it's okay in a second, she had Bill Brown on, a special guest, and updates on Giza and his current presentations. Really good show. Caught the last half of it. It was, enlightening. So good on you, Bill, and good on you, Solaris. But if you did miss it, 599.07, wrong, 600. That's Gear Jammer.
That's right.
Now, it is free to get into the archives. So if you missed her show, you can just download it. It's an MP3 format. Woohoo, right? Benji. You can just binge away to your heart's content. To your heart's content, you can. So, I'm broadcasting out of Darkinjung country. Mackie, where are you this lovely afternoon?
The right country, my friend.
And both Mackie and I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where we live, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Boy, oh boy. Again, Mackie, we say this, I think, probably every show, but it's getting crazier. Things are getting crazier, and they are. So, you know what? I think Greece had fires, now they've got floods.
That's what you need, isn't it?
Well,
I'm sorry. It's just nuts.
Is there an advent calendar that I've missed out on?
Yeah, I think you have. It's 3 floods to Christmas. It's fire, flood, pestilence, earthquakes.
Yeah.
There's just blood that's going to rain from the heavens.
I'm looking
cats
forward
and dogs
to
are going to get married. It'll be mayhem.
Cats and dogs living together.
That's the one. It is.
Because
I remember my childhood.
Hong Kong had the worst floods they've ever had ever.
It has. Yes, I know. In fact, in living memory, you get to see that word again, living memory. When I was a child, the world was pretty uneventful. The only thing that we were afraid of was a nuclear annihilation brought about by the Soviet and US forces.
Right. That's what we lived through. And uneventful meant there was an occasional 6.0 earthquake somewhere on the planet.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah. But tell us, Dave, and then I will. What just occurred?
Oh, we had a 6.9 in Morocco.
We had a 6.9 in Morocco. And when was the last 6.9 that struck Morocco?
I don't remember there being one.
Never.
That's right.
Never.
Yeah.
It never happened before. It has never happened before. What? Yes, never. So it's an unprecedented event. Yes, it is.
Is there another word they can use instead of unprecedented? Because
never.
Never. That's a good one. I like that one. It's never happened before because we hear unprecedented now so often to describe weather, because it's not climate, it's only weather, and of things that are occurring around these days as disasters. We hear, oh, unprecedented fires, unprecedented floods. I liked it here when we had the once in 1,000 year flood, and then the next flood, which was higher, was once in 100-year flood, and that was only a couple of months apart.
Yeah, well, you see, the other one already happened, so clearly this is now 100 event.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, the numbers are getting smaller, so it'd be once in the month flood would be next, right? But we never got that. We got a third one and then not a fourth.
Look, it is interesting to just step back and understand, and this is not just hyperbole. I mean, news stations around the world try to obviously get people to watch them or read them or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they employ all manner of exaggeration and attention grabbing headlines, etc., etc. That's no longer necessary, really, in my opinion. It just isn't, because it depending on
the truth is self-evident.
Yeah. Whatever the season is, that hemisphere, if it's summer, is on fire.
It's the season for it, yeah.
And then, like to your point, big storms, which of course then can lead to catastrophic precipitation. It can lead to catastrophic mudslides potentially because of the precipitation. Mm-hmm. It can lead to massive flooding, of course. Earthquakes are happening in places where they didn't really happen before too much. Certainly not to that magnitude. And the problem, of course, is if you're not used to it, mm-hmm. you don't build to it. And that's
totally,
why that's why it's like 2,000 people dead now. That's why so many people died that we know, at least in Morocco, mm-hmm. Marrakesh to be
right.
Specific,
yeah.
So that was a big one.
But that's because that was a lot of cinder block style buildings, and that doesn't fare well at all in an earthquake. No. And even if you put Rio in between and you flood fill the gaps, it's a lot stronger, but it's not like a concrete poor monolithic structure, right?
It's good for where it is. It was sufficient
what it used to be.
Yeah.
The front doesn't fall off. So, Eki, I wanted to say, not only are we seeing higher rain and more fires, but something really interesting is the speed of the winds, the velocity.
Yes.
Is another good word to use for that. The velocity of the wind is increasing, because I was looking at the average wind speeds from where we live, and from storms specifically, like all the maximums. Where were they? Like 90 kilometer-hour winds would be like the worst situation that you had.
Yeah, that was pretty bad back in the day.
It's 40 kilometers higher now than it used to be when we were kids.
Yeah.
And it's like 1 kilometer per year rise. Doesn't seem like much. Yeah. But now the wind gusts, not just gusts, the steady wind, 130 kilometers an hour that we've seen demolish a building in Tarahumara on the weekend or last week.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and that was just a storm. Just a storm that went through. And we don't have tornadoes. There was no tornado. We do, but we don't have them in our cities. They're usually found where no one lives, luckily. And you'll see grass on one side bend one way and on the other side bend the other way. You can see that. So something that we didn't notice, right, was this increase. So it is there. It's all there. The evidence is data that suggests it. Kind of like excess deaths that no one's not allowed to talk about anymore. Right? So, there was a reversal also, just the last point to change, the reversal of, I think, ivermectin. I think that's what it was, that the WHO or the CDC said, we never said you can't use it. Yeah, you did, right? Wasn't that a thing, a big media thing, that you can't use it? Yeah, cool. So I look from a weather platform making the amount of rain. Now, if you've ever visited a desert area, say I don't know, in California maybe, right? Nevada, you'll see like a dry riverbed, and it's interesting that a dry riverbed should be dry in the desert, because you have to think, well, it's a riverbed, so it must have handled water at some point, because it's cut through the soil. And you can see where the path is, and it's a continuous downhill slope until you would imagine it would have flooded out some low-lying area, right? Well, those folk at the Burning Man festival, it only had an inch of rain. Only
that was
1
a
inch.
landslide. That thing was a landslide. Right.
Vegas didn't fare well because of the amount of water that fell there, but luckily that wasn't what happened where the Burning Man festival it is. They're not locally. They kind of got sideswiped by it. So, but interestingly enough, it was only an inch of rain that caused that mud, because the desert's not used to that kind of thing. So I saw raging torrents, of water that I'd never kind of seen before in a desert, because that's typically not what happens in a desert. So, Mackie, the climate refugees, you'd be getting your go bag ready, wouldn't you?
I have mine ready.
Look, I have mine ready too.
I just want to hark back just for a second when it comes to new things, because we had to come up with new categories for things, right? Mm-hmm. In 2019, it was Hurricane Dorian, if you remember, 2019, and it was rated a Category 6.
That's right. And what? Remember the superstorm?
There was no Category 6 then.
That's right.
It was extended. Mm-hmm. It went to 5. It was called the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Scale, right? Mm-hmm. It went all the way to 5, and then that happened, and then now we're up to Category 7. So Cat 5, to give you an idea, is 160 miles an hour of wind. Cat 6 is 180 miles an hour. Cat 7 is 210 or 215 miles an hour, which happened. Which Hurricane Patricia in 2015.
Wow.
Okay, so that happened, and Tropical Freddy, the one that just went, Tropical Cyclone Freddy, is set to potentially, increase or set new records for us. So. Look, the thing is this. People say there's always been storms. Yes. There's always been rain. Yes. It's all true. And we had certain categories and scales. And they were scientifically, the people thought, yeah, that's where it is. This is what we need. This is the kind of scaling we want. Mm-hmm. It fit for a long time.
It fit the very soft weather that we were experiencing for a very long time during a stable period.
Yeah. But now we are introducing new categories. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to before, which to my simple mind means that things are changing. Okay, so this is not just about the ferocity, but also the longevity and how much distance these things cover. Right? How long they manage to hold that kind of kinetic energy, really. Right? Yeah. That's really what's terrifying, because they seem to go on a lot longer and be a lot more destructive. And this is just it. We're just talking, hurricane storms here and things like that. I mean, think about that for a second. Things are changing significantly faster and faster. You're right, climate refugees. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, if sea levels rise and coastal areas are flooded, entire coastal areas are lost, let's say, because flooding means the water might recede at one point, right? So it floods and then the water goes back and everything is hunky-dory. What if the water does not recede?
Those are the good old days.
right? What if it stays? What if the water just stays?
Mhm.
Well, that's not so good. All of a sudden, we get like 100 Venices, right?
Ooh.
Everybody becomes a gondola driver. Is that the word? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah. But
Call him
it is
pilot.
it is
You call him
now.
a pilot.
Yeah, that sounds good. It is now become necessary to make provisions, to plan, like you said earlier, to have a go bag of your documents at least, or whatever, like some water, food. I would suggest is not a bad idea.
Yeah, you want to have a source of power as well.
Well, that would be good if you can.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is no longer a crazy kind of science fiction, hypothetical scenario. These are now things that will happen. We are living in them. They are happening.
Happening. Yes.
The,
It's double P, so
the,
it's happening.
the gerund form. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
No, brother, I tell you. And this is just the nature thing. That's just the nature side of things. It's just forget what we are doing, right? And all the things that have happened. And the thing is, Dave and I had a bit of a fun couple of days looking at the richest families in the world. A couple of YouTube things, and they're going to be okay, guys. I know
I think so.
They're going to be fine. I maintain, and I will continue to maintain, that we can no longer afford billionaires.
That's right.
No longer afford billionaires. They must. Well, I mean, look, if they voluntarily start helping people, sweet bananas.
Oh, imagine that.
Or the planet. But people help the planet. Help the planet. There you go.
I noticed The Rock was helping people. But hang on, there's sarcasm coming. Oprah and The Rock, who live around Lahaina, put up a like a GoFundMe kind of thing, and they've made almost no money at all because they're the thing that I think it was like $1,000 all they made, and they were hoping
What?
for.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and that's because
That's shocking.
they didn't put any of their own money in it.
God, why would you?
Well, there's less people to complain about now in that area. I'm being facetious. So that there was an expose done on Oprah's own charity, and there was millions of dollars just like the books. The books were foyered, right? And so there was travel was like $1 million because I want to fly around the world. It was just another way of having income, generating income. And all there's 20 roles that run it, and all of their expenses, right? And then there was
salaries.
Yeah, salaries. You should have I'll find the expose, but I'll let you know. But that's kind of really where it was at, and she's on video with The Rock, pointing to the palm of a hand and saying, "Every dollar will go to the people." Sure, it will.
It's amazing how people can just lie like that, isn't it? Isn't it? I think that's quite something.
Remember, Becky, when we had the 2019 fires, just those few years back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the two biggest charities organisations in Australia, they opened up relief funds. That's what we call it here.
Yes.
And people were donating because they're reputable. They're reputable. There were truckies that were just saying, well, I'm just going to abandon my route for the next week. I'm going to go around collecting hay. I'm going to go around collecting water. I'm going to go and deliver these to these towns. If you're with me, bring canned goods, right? And people got on board and had convoys of hundreds of trucks going into these towns delivering, because people had nothing. There was nothing. What Lahaina's done is blocked off the whole city, so nothing can get in. Not even people on jet skis trying to deliver food and water to their own relatives from another island. This is such an appalling state of affairs. It's as though they don't want anyone to remain there now. So anyway, the big point I was making around as the Australian relief funds was that once they'd gotten all the money, they openly said, "Oh, we're really not going to give that money to anybody," and they didn't. They didn't. They should have been closed down and all their wealth distributed amongst those needy. That's what they should have done.
That's such a likely thing to happen, Dave.
It's never going to happen, right? Yeah, you're right.
You sound even more crazy than me, if that's possible.
Because it's like just imagine, Mickey, in the impossible world where this could ever happen, which is it's never, and that is that a politician lies, and then their entire party is disbanded because of it. Because that's I reckon that would, if there was a politician that would listen to this show and heard me, I think that would be on their Christmas reel.
You just made a friend for life. That's what you did.
They wouldn't hate on me. They just go, just make sure he never gets into power, right? Yeah. Cool.
Let's just make sure he doesn't start his car in the morning. That's what we're going to do.
Hey, we're not talking about the banking industry here, right?
That's true, but they all work on the same principle.
Big coal.
If you don't help me, you're hindering
me. Or big gas, or big pharma. I love you all, by the way. I don't really care anymore.
Of course you do. Of course you do. You're a lover, not a instigator.
I don't incite anybody. Hey, there's Acid Trip 69 in the chat room, and Jim Jones and Gear Jammer.
Hey,
thanks, everyone. Hey there.
Nice.
Little shout out.
Shout.
So, yeah, because those charities that did the relief they just decided not to pass any of the money on to the actual thing they'd advertised for, that immediately should have been a red flag and just closed them. Involuntary administration.
How does it even work? I mean, I'm being serious for a second. I mean,
yeah.
How does? I mean, what? How?
Involuntary administration was what I would promote there.
But what is the law here? I mean, what are the
law?
Yeah, exactly,
it's
right?
Charity. Yeah. It costs a lot of money to put that thing together for people to donate money. Oh, but don't people always donate money to you? Yeah, they do. What's the kind of expense that? I don't know, a couple of people just to make sure the books are right and we're depositing the money in the right areas. So you don't have any money for there's no money to give to people. No. How much did you get? Oh, about $1 billion. So where are you going to put it? We put it in accounts. What about giving it to the people of the relief? That was just an advertising campaign.
No, you're just silly. You're just a silly little man. Look at you. You silly little man.
I don't know how much they actually raised, but whatever the money was, they decided openly and admitted it in the media that they weren't going to provide any money.
Yeah, but isn't that astounding? I mean, you know what really is upsetting? The reaction.
Did anyone do anything? No.
There you go. My point. Exactly.
That's right.
Again, I'm standing back. And sometimes sitting. I know. And I look at it and I'm thinking, all of these bits and pieces coming out and all of this information that we have coming at us at light speed, right? And this information overload, and we know a lot more, but we actually know a lot less, and the attention span is sort of failing. The food has clearly made us dumber. Education has made us dumber. I think everything has made us dumber and more compliant, right? And at least over the last 25, 30 years, we've been beaten into submission. And we don't even know we've been beaten into it because it came from the outside, and we asked the politicians to take care of us. We asked for people to be safe. We asked for them to give us a certain level of comfort. Mm-hmm. We asked for that. Now we're getting it. And for much longer than that, they've subverted food. And then, the one thing that I find just astounding, Dave, is that wanting to eat organic, healthy food is now a disorder. It's a
It's a
mental
disorder.
disorder.
Just not even organic, just to eat
I mean,
healthily.
It's what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's look. If you take it to the extreme thing, I get it, right? I'm sure that you can, display symptoms of, I guess overzealousness or maybe even, slight insanity when it comes to things. I'm sure that happens. Don't get me wrong, right? But just to want to eat healthily, that's now a mental disorder. Grief was another one, as you know. If you show grief, that's a mental disorder. So you have to ask yourself: are we all listening to it? We are reacting to this, Dave, as though it were happening to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm telling you a story about another country far, far away, long time ago, in a galaxy that's no longer reachable.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it doesn't really concern me. It's like we're looking at it, and this is really how I feel. I really think that's how people feel. It's happening like it's happening to someone else. It's like they're just on autopilot. Do you ever get that feeling that some people are on autopilot, and you just sort of coasting through life and not really worrying? And I know, look, I understand that you and I, and maybe others, maybe listeners of the show, are different, and we think differently, and we might think deeper, and we might think we want to know stuff, right? That's really our problem. We want to know stuff, and I get that most people don't really wire it that way. Because there's no interest.
Because it doesn't affect them.
No. But it's also hard to find out, Dave.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
How do you find out? It's not easy to find out these things because you actually have to go out there and find it, right, yourself. And that's not the easiest thing to do because where do you start? I mean, even if you hit a starting point, it's like this is how researchers fall into this world. They might start out with something that bothers them or they want to know about or whatever it might be. And we've spoken to many in the past, of course. And they always started somewhere. They had like some interest, right? Whatever it might have been, which might have been, slightly unusual. Not for everybody, but mind you. Mr. Paulides, for example, right?
Yeah.
He was not really conspiracy anything.
No.
Or paranormal anything.
Didn't believe in it.
Nah. What bothered him, though, that these people seem to disappear in the national parks. Huh. Look, that's not right.
And then,
what's going on?
Right? What's going on? So which parks? How many?
Yeah.
And then discovered that
sudden,
there was no data and you couldn't get the data. And
yeah. And all of a sudden he finds himself neck deep.
Yeah.
In what we like to call the paranormal. I don't like the term paranormal or supernatural. I don't like them.
It's natural and normal.
Because it's part of the world. I think we need to acknowledge it's part of the world, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like this sandwich. It's a supernatural sandwich. No, it's not. It's a natural sandwich.
Well, the same as the corner world, Mackie. It's always been there.
It's a supernatural sandwich. Come on.
How much is it?
but see, you see how insidious it is, Dave.
Yeah.
The way that language has transformed into a tool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always been a tool, but now it's a tool for the parasites, very much so.
Yeah.
Where phrases, words, concepts take on a meaning and life of their own. They have been given, like, if we say conspiracy theory, everybody will have a mental picture of some crazy person in the basement with a tinfoil hat.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Why?
That was by design.
That was by design. Paranormal.
Yeah.
Right? Supernatural. Whenever we say these things, it's like either scary, usually scary, right?
I'm thinking about a spoon bending dude.
Yeah.
That was outed as a crazy person on air.
Yeah.
To dismiss it.
Yeah. And we know now, Dave and I have covered this for you, that telepathy is quite accepted in scientific circles, and now people are trying to find, I guess the mechanism.
Yeah, how does
telepathy.
It work? Yeah. Right.
So, and then we shared a study with you that was conducted in China around the quantum aspects of telepathy and how that hangs together. The question wasn't in that study wasn't whether or not that telepathy is a thing. It's a thing that it was given. Telepathy is here. Here it is. This study is about trying to figure out how it is.
Yeah, that's right. And they said that the brains of two people can be quantum entangled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a really beautiful way of saying connected somehow we can't understand.
I can't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the more Dave and I have delved over the last almost 12 years into these. I mean, look, we both had an interest before this, but the last 12 years have given us opportunity, an excuse, if you will, to delve deeper into certain subject. Because the one thing we don't want to do is just create a whole bunch of hot air for a couple hours every week.
No.
So we do put a bit of effort into trying to figure out what's what. And it became apparent very, very quickly, that certain subjects are simply taboo, or not just taboo. Taboo means we all know, we shouldn't go there, or they are completely disappeared.
Yeah.
Completely gone, gone ski. Got nothing. You can't find anything on it. It's just not accessible. Right, and that's where the mystery lies. Of course, we spoke about Tesla. We spoke about anti-gravity. We spoke about hydrogen-powered cars and all that wonderful stuff. Right, where you think, well, this is not really that amazing. So you have a car that runs on water.
Yep.
Now, yeah.
What happened to the guy?
It would be catastrophic for the world's parasites.
Well,
Okay.
there's a let's call it big fuel, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't want their entire house, like their house they've built, to fall like a house of cards. They don't want that ruined. Could you imagine, like that? Which country was it, Mickey? Was it Saudi Arabia where they killed some dude in their own embassy?
Turkey.
Was it Turkey?
So it was the Saudi embassy, but it was in Turkey.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
That's correct.
that guy wasn't going to bring down the, big fuel at all.
He wasn't going to do anything once they chopped him up.
Well, that stops them usually. But my point is, don't break and crush the big thing that's going to kill you, because it's going to kill you.
It's going to kill you dead.
So, by making a car that runs on water, good on you, Stanley Meyer. Trying to sell it to the military, it's a great idea. At least that's that was part of the story, and then he might have sold it to them, but don't know. And then he's trying to make a negotiation for this to negotiate with some people. Don't know who they really were. And then he runs out of the restaurant, claiming he'd been poisoned and falls to the ground dead.
Well, that usually indicates there was, that something happened.
Something might very well have happened to him. Yes,
This is not a suicide thing.
I didn't kill myself, right? Yeah. So look, you don't want to go up against it, because I think that the powers that be would do that to you. But I've heard, Mickey, since we investigated that there was a number of other people who had also stumbled upon the same technology of being able to run a car on water, doing something at the injector. There's Stanley Meyer had a patent for the injector that turned water into both oxygen and hydrogen. So you're just driving around with a tub of water in your car, which is better than we've got now. Fuel's terribly flammable, apparently.
Well, the thing is this, right? So you're right. You're going to tank 50, 60 liters depending on the vehicle you have. Maybe 100 liters, maybe 200 in a truck, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is combustible, highly combustible material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not necessarily inert substance, especially when it gets into contact with heat. However, water in and of itself is completely inert. You can't set it on fire. You can try. Good luck to you. And it only becomes a problem, and not really a problem. It only becomes volatile in the injection chamber once you do once the process is initiated by electrolysis.
Electrolysis.
Electrolysis. There's the word.
And also a radio frequency.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually.
Light was mentioned in earlier experiments,
Yeah.
but high UV. But no, it seems as though radio frequencies are involved.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
But hydrogen is no more a problem than I guess fuel once it's
that's
sort
right.
of vaporized.
Yeah.
Because vaporized fuel, I don't know what a fuel. If you don't know what a air fuel bomb is, it's a big bomb full of fuel, as it were, and it's vaporized, right, over a large area, and then ignited. That is one of the most powerful conventional
That's called
weapons.
What's it called? Hydrobaric. Hydrobaric
that's
explosion.
Right.
That's right. And that'll evacuate all the oxygen from that region.
100%. And some are powerful enough to create an EMP, believe it or not.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
You can get a pulse with that, but no radioactivity.
Right. Awesome.
But the point is that because everybody seems to say that hydrogen it's volatile. You look at the Hindenburg, blah blah blah. Now,
the
Hindenburg was full of hydrogen.
humanity.
Okay,
That's
yes,
right.
It's true. That's a problem. But this is not what this is. You got a tank full of water, and the oxygen and hydrogen are only separated, as far as I know, at the point of injection into the chamber, and then you just ignite it like you would ignite any fuel, and off you go, right? And you know what the exhaust would produce?
Oh!
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Carter,
You're in the front row.
Mr. Carter. Water.
That's exactly right. And well, yes, oxygen is the main byproduct, right? But because it cools, what you get is condensation. And Dave is right. Water would drip out of your what you call it?
Exhaust pipes.
Exhaust pipe. Yeah. What? What's the carbon footprint here? Oh, yeah, there's no carbon footprint. So, but over the last 599 shows, what do you think? And we're not going to the text. I just want to. I want you to just give me some stream of consciousness. What comes to mind? Some highlights, maybe things that you didn't know before. I don't know. I mean, it's almost 12 years that we've been doing this. It's a long time. It's a long time.
You know, Mekki, one of the things that pop out to me was something I did not even know before we started, and that was orbitally rearranged monatomic elements. Didn't even know that they existed. So there's something really interesting. We were always taught at school that there's 3 states of matter. If you don't know what they are, it's a solid, liquid, and gas. That's it. And there was water is available in 2 of those realistically, because you can't have a gas, but you can have water vapor, which is in suspension in our environment, a heavy nitrogen environment, right? But you don't really have you don't have a gaseous water, because it can never be a gas, because that's not a thing, right? So you can have very hot water that's in suspension in the air. But water, we discovered, Mekki, has like 7 states that we never knew about. And it changes electrical properties through, I think, 3 of them. Didn't know that. Like, that's something else. And, of course, that was one of those things that changed over from when we started doing the show, from before to now. Those states were announced, and it has 2 crystalline structures, not 1.
Correct.
It is amazing. The other thing about water, Mekki, that I never knew was it has a memory.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
it's gone.
No. The function of activating a river, which is a very funny gag that's done by one of the British comedians, kind of is real.
Uh-huh.
It's like honey. Honey if you put like a teaspoon of honey on a plate.
Yes,
And
I love that. I love that. Go on.
I've done it to show my kids too.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has a memory of the hive. So
Yes.
when you pour some water on it and swoosh it, there's a thermobaric explosion that Gear Jammers has posted in. So when you submerge the honey in the water on it's first on the plate, on a dry plate, then you flood it over the top and you swirl the water around. And when you do that, like you're mining for gold, you swirl it round, and what will remain is the shape of the hive cells, the honeycomb shape. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the truth. And you go, what?
Yeah.
Now, I tell you what really astounded me, Dave.
How about you?
No, I'm going to tell you anyway. No, over the last 12.
I know you're gonna.
Those last 12 years, all the things that I thought
Mm-hmm.
didn't really warrant asking questions. Because why would you? They're there. It's done. We've selected water. So it just actually popped into my mind when you mentioned it. Because why would you? I mean, there it is. No, we must know everything there is to know about water, right? No, we don't. Not at all. Not even close.
Not even at all. That's right.
And we don't know why it is the way it is, and we don't know why it does what it does. I mean, we're getting some ideas, but we don't really know. And you're going to ask yourself, oh, geez, okay, that's... But see, what this show made me do, Dave, is ask those questions for the things that are where people say, oh, obviously it's that. Based on what? How do you know that? We know all about it. No, we don't. And other things as well, then, because water for me was the most glaring, by far the most glaring. But then there are other things.
What about the electrical properties of water at different temperature states?
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't know that.
Oh.
No.
No idea.
And for me, since we've been doing the show, metallic gases that we consider in our environment on Earth, like hydrogen, for instance, right? We never thought they could be a metal. Well, they can.
Yeah.
Under immense pressure. You can have metallic hydrogen, and it's gone past liquid to being a solid, but is pressed into a metal. Isn't that amazing?
Well, see, all we know, and this is something that we all have to realize, all we know is the world that we inhabit.
That's right.
Which is a very specific environment. Specific temperatures. I mean, beyond certain temperatures and below certain temperatures, we simply would cease to exist.
Yeah.
You know, but not just temperatures, but pressure is another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our atmospheric pressure, which we call one atmosphere, because it's our atmosphere.
It's ours.
So that's the pressure. Like one gravity, you know, the gravity we use is one gravity. You know.
And what about the astronomical units? That's the distance from the sun.
Yeah.
We have one.
Yeah. But to the sun. So we are still the center of our universe.
That's right.
Right? Which is completely arbitrary, of course. But so we only know really how chemistry and physics works here. We extrapolate and we think we know how it works elsewhere, right? Or what could happen, but we don't know, not for a fact. I mean, there's so many things we can't explain at all. And, you know, when we looked at it, I knew that gravity was a problem, right? But all the forces are a problem. Everything is a problem. And in fact, it came down to, remember, Dave, we were talking about this not too long ago, I think in a show, something like 96% of the universe is missing. If that's true,
thanks.
If that's true, then our model is completely useless. It's like having a bowl with 100 holes in it and calling it a bowl instead of a sieve. It's a sieve. That's what it is. It's not a bowl. It's a sieve. And you're going, well, that's good. No, we need a new model. And I hate it when people say, oh, we all know that's true.
Yeah.
And you know, my most hated of all those phrases?
What's that?
My most hated. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Yeah.
You know what extraordinary claims require? The exact same evidence, the same level of evidence. Because evidence, once you get evidence, there it is. So if okay, I claim that extraterrestrials, there they are. If I find one extraterrestrial, that's enough. I don't have to find 1,000 or 1,000,000 or entire civilizations. I don't have to do that.
Or identify the planet to which they've come from.
No,
and
none of that.
have their leader tell us.
Yes, we exist.
We had to fly him out. It took a while.
do you know that? But it's this mindset, Dave. It's this mindset, and I came across this with radiocarbon dating as well and other things where everything we do is based on assumptions, right?
That's right.
And a lot of people don't know this, so they think, oh, it's science, so it must be 100% accurate. It has to be true. It's science, right? And if the science is good and the evidence is good, then yes, that is true. But I'll give you a simple example. So, radiocarbon dating, which is the dating of organic, specifically organic material, and the
carbon-14 atom.
Yeah, exactly, C14. It's the decay rate, which we know. We know that, right? Now, we know it now. But the assumption is that the conditions were always the same. That's one of the fundamental assumptions in order for it to work and give us an accurate, picture. Everything is as it is today. There was no extra radiation. There was no extra anything that would have changed any of those radioactive isotopes. Okay. Do we know that though? Well, no. In fact, chances are that radiation fluctuated. The radiation that hit the Earth, for example. So all of everything that we have, and it's fair enough too, because you have to start somewhere. Assumptions aren't a bad thing, but the goal has to be to eliminate as many assumptions as possible, obviously, right? But, by the way, thanks, Esther Tripp. Appreciate it, my friend.
Yes.
And I hope that other people feel the same way. There are so many things to know out there. But if we just go, why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue, right? And if the sky is blue, there's actually an effect, and we can go into it. But the point is, I didn't know the sky was just blue. There it is, right? But then you start investigating,
Diffraction.
and we can actually explain it. Yeah, we can explain it, right?
Yeah, we can. I'm going to throw another one in. Right?
Yeah.
So, my daughter said, that light is a particle and a wave. I said, that's great. I said, and this is what I told her actual science teacher during the parent-teacher night.
All right.
And I said, so how did you explain it? Oh, there was an experiment, and they found. And I said, which experiment? Oh, the double slit experiment.
Oh, they must hate you.
And I've just gone, great. Right? I said, what else did that experiment?
Who has got to the Dungeon Girls this year?
Who's got Dave? Who's got Dave? In the parent-teacher night, and it's like, just call in sick. So I said, so what else did it discover? That double slit experiment. Oh, nothing. It was just the particle and the wave thing. Oh, okay, right. So if you just gotta fill you in, I said, if you shoot a single electron at the double slits, it actually goes through both and causes an interference pattern, and that shows on the board, right? And he goes, yeah, that's right. And I go, but do you know what happens if you look to see which one it went through? He goes, no. And I go, it turns back into a particle by looking at it. And he goes, no. I go, yeah, just look it up. I'm here if you want to talk about it. I said, the observation of that's where it comes from. The observation changes the experiment, but it's light as a particle waving goodbye. That's hilarious.
I like that.
That's really good.
What I am, God, I am.
So I had to do that, and I said, well, it doesn't end there. I said the polarization of light through a prism going two directions. I said you can prove entanglement by putting a polarizing filter at the end of one. I explained the experiment. Don't have to do it now. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, you can do it. You can just do it on the desktop, right? It's really easy. I said, but they did it in the largest optical fiber network in Europe. And they showed that it went back in time and changed the outcome for the short length. So you do it on the very long, 20 miles or something, 20-mile length. You do it there, you polarize it, and it corrupts the beam. And it also corrupts it at the one that's only 1 meter out of the device. So the particles, paired particles, have lived for a certain amount of time, and it actually affects it back in time. And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, how do you know? I go, I've got a show, and we do research, and we discover all this stuff. You know, we're not doing the actual investigation into it. We don't have all this desktop equipment. But there it is. I said, you might think about you might think about teaching the kids that, because just knowing that it's a particle and a wave, it didn't help me at all understand the true nature of why it is both.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's our expectation ultimately that changes it back to a particle again. But is it really either of them? Who knows? We don't know yet.
What happened then?
Well, the time's up, right?
Oh, jeez.
It was like speed dating. You only had half an hour.
Oh, you get half an hour. We get like 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, what can you do?
Yes, this is my offspring, and they go, great, nice to meet you. Ding. It's time to go. What?
They can read and write. 2 for the price of 1. But that's. I'm glad you did that, because I was of 2 minds. I mean, the girls are too young still, and you know, it's primary school stuff, so they wouldn't be doing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, as they go to high school.
High school's a whole new world, man. We've got 2 minutes left, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But it is our responsibility, our duty, to ensure that our kids are being told the truth. And
I know that you answer all the questions truthfully.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And with our current understanding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, some things I tell them, look, this is a little bit complex, and I don't think you'll fully understand it. I'll tell you the answer if you really want to, but please tell me if you don't understand it. Then, I don't really understand it. That's fair enough. Yeah. Other things you can go straight up and this is what it is. Oh wow. And I like to teach concepts and methodologies, right? And what I mean by that, I know time is almost done. What I mean by that, though, is you give them the tools to look deeper. I think I said this before, but you don't just take it at face value. Ask yourself, what are the motivating factors? What is the background here? What went on before? Don't just take the fact. World War One was started when they assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. Really? let's unpack that, right? And then you unpack it, or you give them examples of how they how a successful life could be led by making good decisions, right?
Do you know what that does, Mickey? It allows you to using the methodologies to solve things in the future.
Bingo. Bingo. And that's really, because I don't want to give them a fish, right? I want to teach them how to fish. This is for me.
Too many rabbits in China, Mickey.
Too many. They should have just built a wall. They should have. They did.
That's from a commercial that ran in Australia for a telco.
Gold.
It was a guy driving his young kid to school who was going to be proud as punch to reveal the information that his father has to answer one of the big questions for his exam. Fantastic stuff.
Why was the Chinese wall built? To keep the rabbits out. Go on, take it away, Dave.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We're coming back after this short break with another hour, and take the time to donate. It's only a short break. I wish it was longer sometimes. But we'll be ending the stream and then restarting a new stream for the second half. Take care. See you shortly.